Well, no significant changes to report with the Packers walking wounded. All of the players who missed practice yesterday were idle again today, including TJ Lang, Jordy Nelson, and Clay Matthews.
Firefighters are still here behind me checking 2 houses for hot spots after they were engulfed in flames just hours ago.
If the farm bill doesn't pass by the end of the year, for a gallon of milk that costs $3.69, consumers could be paying over $7 a gallon at the register.
Reverend Jackson, we just heard Senator Urban speak to the crowd here. He said, despite these networks calling the race, he said it's not over until all the votes are counted. How do you feel about that? I don't know if you can tell, but the snowfall has really started to pick up again, and that's going to cause a little bit more of a problem for drivers out on the road, as it's going to lay that snow on top of an already thick layer of slush. There has been no shortage of energy and excitement from the fans here all day today, and I spoke to some of the fans in the hours leading up to today's game. They told me there is nothing like opening game day at Lambeau Field. The title of his tour, Moving Wisconsin Forward, fit the theme of his speech. He talked about how his policies have, in his words, turned things around for Wisconsin. The winning couple may not be going home with the mirror ball. The participants say they'll be winning so much more. Landon Renard doesn't play volleyball or know a ton about it, but lately most of his nights are spent in the gym watching the game.
Well, at the games, we cheer as loud as we can. We just try to give our girls some support and give them that extra oomph they need.
That oomph is school spirit in full force. For the past few weeks, this group of boys has been cheering on East High School's girls varsity volleyball team, using everything from black tie to superhero themes to get the crowd pumped.
They have so much fun with it. They dress up every single time in a different theme, and they think it's so much fun.
Heading into the night's game, the girls' team was 0-7, but that doesn't break the enthusiasm.
Their record has nothing to do with us coming out here supporting our friends. It's Red Devil pride, and we love our girls.
Landon says most of the guys are actually football players, but they all value one thing: school spirit.
We just try to pick them up and try to be as energetic as we can.
We focused so much these days on wins and losses and trying to be mean to the other team instead of supportive of your own. It's really refreshing.
So with all the attention for these girls coming from the guys, you have to wonder, is someone getting a date out of this?
No, not always dates. It's just a self-satisfaction. A lot of us are football players, so we can't cheer at football games during the season. So we come out to volleyball games to show our support and our Red Devil pride.
Kate Raddatz, Action 2 News, Green Bay. As trick-or-treaters are busy going door to door getting their candy, Green Bay police are also there to keep them safe.
Our goal is just to make sure that people are following the rules.
Every year on Halloween, agents from the Department of Corrections along with police knock on the doors of registered sex offenders to make sure they don't play any tricks to lure in kids.
In advance of this, the offenders have signed a contract along with their agents that state that they will not engage in any Halloween activities.
The sex offenders have to comply to certain rules on Halloween, including keeping outdoor lights off, not distributing candy, not attending any Halloween parties, and staying in their residence during trick-or-treat hours.
Something that we feel affects the safety of the public and the safety of the kids or the community, then we'll take some kind of action.
While law enforcement agents do their part, Jed Newman with the DOC says it's important that parents keep an eye on their kids while they're out trick-or-treating.
It's always good for that parent to, in an ongoing manner, speak of safety issues with their children and the importance of being safe.
Kate Raddatz, Action 2 News, Green Bay.
Now this is part of her.
Jeremy Saunders has a hard time getting the words out that describe his wife, Sheila.
Very kind, very sweet. She loved kids, loved animals. Just full of life and fun. Pardon me.
Jeremy and Sheila were married for 18 years, but in January, after a 3-year battle with breast cancer, Sheila passed away at the age of 42. A teacher of 17 years, Sheila had collected books, thousands of them, to make sure each student had a copy of each book. She had so many, they didn't fit in their house.
The home we purchased had 2 garages, one for the cars and my stuff, and another one was her building, and she could do whatever she wanted in there. Her garage is I'm guessing about 34 by 38 with a 12-foot ceiling.
Before she died, Sheila had a wish to make sure her collection could be a gift to someone else.
And this is something that that we discussed. She wanted all her materials to go where they'd go to good use.
A lot of books.
Jeremy brought the books to the Green Bay Adventist Junior Academy. On Monday, Sheila's wish will be a reality when the school will host a teacher book sale to give other students the chance to read her books.
Teachers are so intent and so passionate about passing the information on, providing education for their classrooms and their students. That's where Sheila's heart was at, so that's what we're trying to do.
Sheila donated around 12,000 books with the hope that other teachers could have the same joy that she had in giving kids the chance to read.
Everything from 50-cent paperbacks to rare collection series will be up for sale. The money raised from the event will go to help fund mission trips and needed supplies at the school.
It's a fairly remarkable collection, and we are just so touched by the opportunity we have then, because of her thoughtfulness, to turn around and extend that.
Jeremy says seeing the sale open will be hard, but touching, knowing it was the gift Sheila wanted to give.
It's overwhelming. This was her wish, and it's a kind of a continuation of what she would have done. Helping kids and other teachers continue to have the materials that they may not have otherwise had available.
Kate Raddatz, Action 2 News.
The man accused of killing his wife, a Wauwatosa police officer, responds to the charges against him. 30-year-old Benjamin Sabina pleaded not guilty to first-degree intentional homicide in the death of Jennifer Sabina on Christmas Eve. Benjamin Sabina was wheeled into the courtroom wearing a suicide prevention vest today. Police say he followed Jennifer while she was on patrol December 24th and ambushed her outside a Wauwatosa fire station where she was taking a break. Investigators say she was shot multiple times in the head. Sabina is due back in court in March. The U.S. has lifted its ban on women serving in combat. Federal officials today announced their decision to allow women to fight alongside men in war zones. Officials say all troops must still meet the qualifications to serve in combat, and military leaders must decide whether some specialized roles will remain men only. While women have long played a role in the military, officials say now is the time to fully integrate them into service. Barry Alvarez will coach the Badgers in the Rose Bowl, but he said today that it is a one-game deal and that he is already looking for Brett Bielema's permanent replacement. He did rule out one candidate, former Badger offensive coordinator Paul Chryst. Alvarez saying Chryst will remain the head coach at Pitt. Alvarez will not use a search committee for this hire, although it is the first time he has hired a coach. Remember, he had Brett Bielema on his staff to groom him as a replacement. Alvarez is beginning his search by talking to candidates who have head coaching experience, and he has already been contacted by several candidates. Good morning, I'm Kate Raddatz. We begin with severe weather from overnight, and one of the hardest hit areas last night was Sauk Center. The city is in northwest Stearns County near Alexandria. About 4,000 people live there. The fire chief told us the city was in lockdown for about 4 hours after the storm. He said they had strong winds for about an hour beginning around 8 o'clock last night. Governor Scott Walker may have more wiggle room in his next budget. The Legislative Fiscal Bureau says the state's budget surplus for the current biennium is more than expected. The nonpartisan bureau expects a $419 million surplus. That's up from the $348 million projection made last November. Governor Scott Walker says the surplus is good news in that compared to 2 years ago when there was a $3.6 billion budget deficit, Wisconsin is better off. He says, quote, this projected surplus will allow hardworking Wisconsin taxpayers to keep more of the money they earn because I plan to move forward with an income tax cut targeting the middle class, end quote. But Democrats say the Walker administration is using what they call phony math. Quoting Wisconsin Democratic Party Chair Mike Tate, when it comes to this surplus, Scott Walker is not using the same measuring stick he himself used for political benefit against the previous administration. By that standard, Wisconsin remains hundreds of millions of dollars in debt, end quote. Well, Citizen Action of Wisconsin is calling on Governor Walker to accept federal money to expand Badger care. The group says $12 billion in funding over the next 10 years would give more low-income families in Wisconsin access to health care. Organizers say that would help more than 200,000 people who are now on the Badger care waiting list.